Hello, everyone, and welcome back to a new episode of Synced Up. I'm your host, Sabrina Sabloski. It is so nice to be with you guys. So, this week, I want to talk about three mindset shifts that really sunk in for me. And the second that I heard these and then started implementing them, I noticed a pretty instant response in my external reality. And these are the types of things where, like, when you listen to a podcast and the person says something and you're like, oh, that just actually changed something in my brain. I love listening to podcasts like that. It's one of my favorite reasons why I listen to podcasts is really when you can take something away that's tangible and applicable and it hits, right? Like it resonates and it strikes a chord. So usually when I feel that for myself, I like to share it with you guys because the medicine for me is usually the medicine that you guys are needing too. It's really cool to have that sense of community where it's just hitting. So I'm going to get into the three mindset shifts that really helped bring my manifestations to reality, but also help with just staying grounded, like staying regulated and having, I feel like there's so much talk about a regulated nervous system, but obviously we're going to go through challenges and you can't stay quote unquote regulated 24/7. But if you are someone who's prone to overthinking, you run a little bit anxious, I'm with you. Like it's a work in progress all the time. And that's not to say that you're never going to feel anxious again. You're never going to get dysregulated. That's all part of human nature. But having these mindset shifts and tools to help get you back on track, it's honestly so empowering. It's like, okay, yes, I can feel triggered, but it's also reinforcing within yourself. I can handle whatever comes my way and truly feeling like you can handle whatever comes your way, that you can be communicative, you can manage your emotions. Like that is a very empowering place to be. And coming from someone who used to be extremely impatient, very reactive, like did not have control over my emotions, to actually practice being in control of myself, just pausing for a second and feeling myself respond and handle things differently than how I used to, even if it's still not perfect. When you catch yourselves in that moment of, oh, wait, I'm handling the situation completely differently than I would have a year ago or even 6 months ago, that is extremely empowering. And it definitely builds this sense of trust within yourself that only you can give you. It's like that is not given to you by someone else. You can't buy that. That is something that you earn within yourself and it can't be taken away from you, from anyone. So it's like a nice little gift to give yourself that I think builds this instilled confidence within yourself. That's hot and that radiates out. So let's talk about it. And before we get in, I will give a little update. I feel like this is the first time in my life where I feel fulfilled in what I'm like, really truly fulfilled in what I'm doing, because I'm teaching Pilates in person and having real in life community that I am building. And what I've always wanted to do with the podcast is reach as many people as possible, especially women and men. But like, I want to help people feel the best that they can possibly feel mentally, physically, spiritually, and be an expander for other people, like sharing my personal experiences and the wisdom that I've learned through these experiences. Because I talk about this all the time. Like when I go through challenges or whatever it is, I like to look at it as an opportunity for growth. Like I constantly want to be better and evolve. So even teaching Pilates in person, that has been such a point of evolution. Like I feel like I'm growing and developing skills pretty rapidly. But to be able to connect with women and see how I'm impacting them and actually having like a direct impact that I can feel, it feels so fulfilling. And yeah, with the podcast, I've always wanted to do that and be able to reach as many people as possible. I think that's the power of social media and these platforms, is like you have the ability to reach so many people greater than you could ever even imagine. So it feels like I'm doing that digitally with my digital footprint and also with Pilates. And that has been so fulfilling. Also, just nurturing and pouring into my existing relationships, like that feels so good. I think I've said this on other podcasts, but I'm so driven by my relationships. Like, that's my top priorities, like family and friends and people and friends that are like family. That is what fulfills me the most, are my connections and relationships. So I feel like I've been doing that, which feels amazing. But I will say that in person teaching Pilates at Fuse House, I mean, it is the top studio. So to be there, to be surrounded by the best, and to just, like, it's so corny, but it's so true. Like, you are the average of the people that you surround yourself with. So to be surrounded by the best of the best in my professional life and then in my personal life, moving to a new state, moving to a new city, it's allowed me to literally hand pick who I want to spend my time with and who I want in my circle, because I'm being so selective of who I give my time and energy to. It just feels like my cup is overflowing. And I couldn't be more grateful for that. And I see the impact that it has on my general well being, on my joy and my happiness. And that's like all I could ask for, right? For myself and for anyone I care about, for you guys, to live a life that feels fulfilling and joyful, where your relationships support you and build you up. I just feel like moving to Miami has given me that reset almost, to be so selective of who I have in my life. And I feel like that's also a form of just self respect, is like being so particular about who you spend your time and energy with, and not people pleasing or saying yes to things that you don't want to say yes to. It's like, I literally am building this community, building my life brick by brick, so I can be as intentional as I want and have full control over that. And there's not a lot of things that we have control over in this life, right? But you have control over your decisions, your mindset, and yeah, your choices. And I remember my stepmom asking me once, "Do you know where self esteem comes from?" And I was like, "No, where does it come from?" And she was like, "Self esteem comes from the choices that you make." And that always stuck with me, because you don't have control over anything else, but you do have full control over your thoughts, your mind, and the choices that you make. So to be in a state where I literally have full control over who I'm allowing into my life, what I'm choosing to do, it feels like a whole reset happened, because it's a fresh blank slate. And I've got to say, I'm happy with the choices that I'm making. And of course, it's never going to be perfect, but with the wisdom that I've learned and really being able to implement it, it just feels awesome. And then I feel like I'm able to share with you guys from an even more elevated state, which is great. Like, I want you guys to be the best that you can possibly be. So when I'm sharing from this elevated state and frequency, it feels really natural and genuine and like going to help you. So with that, let's get into the 3 mindset shifts to change your life. So number 1, reality is an illusion of your mind. Your reality is a projection of your thoughts. What you think projects into your reality is what you are going to see. This is all backed by neuroscience. Really letting this sink in the times where I feel down about myself, where I'm not feeling the most confident, knowing that at any point, especially when it's something like that where it's all mental, of like, oh, I feel not pretty today, or I don't feel good in my body today, you can literally change that. Your brain is going to, so if I'm thinking, oh, I feel ugly today, you're projecting that into your reality, and your brain will then scan for confirmation that this is true. And the more that you think that, the more you're going to feel it, and then literally radiate ugly energy. That's why even if I am not feeling 100%, I make it a conscious effort to like be kind to myself, whatever, but I'm like I'm not even allowing that into my consciousness. Like negative thoughts about myself, I truly try not to let into my consciousness. And also, this helps when you are in a social setting or even a professional setting and you are overthinking the conversation you just had or your performance or whatever. Reality is an illusion of your mind. Your mind will project your thoughts into your reality, and that's what you're going to see. So, if I'm overthinking something and it really is a mental thing, and this is where positive affirmations come in, and it's really important to just be mindful of what you're thinking about because, again, that is all you have control over is your choices and your thoughts. So, choose to think in a way that is going to support your self image, your identity, and your desires and goals. Because you're gonna hold yourself back if you just wallow in this sadness or pity for yourself. That has always been something where it's like, I'll give an example. I was teaching Pilates. I had a person in class that was very high up, and I literally felt my body go into fight or flight. And I've gotta say, in the last couple years with my teaching, I've really developed my own voice, my teaching style, and my confidence in teaching. I wasn't always confident teaching. In fact, I couldn't even public speak. When I was introducing myself to my Pilates training class and it was my turn to go around and say my name, my age, where I'm from, I completely froze up. I could not public speak. It was an extremely underdeveloped skill that I've developed over time. So, all that to say, I feel very confident in my teaching and I like how I teach. I love the community that I'm building. But even with that sense of confidence within myself and even teaching at one of the top studios, I was so thrown off by this person coming into my class. I felt my body go into fight or flight. Like I literally felt my heart beating out of my chest. What happens when you're in that state of stress, your brain shuts off. There's a part of the brain, prefrontal cortex or the amygdala, I can't remember, but it shuts off. Your brain's only focus at that point is narrowed and it's to keep you safe. So your creativity shuts down, your problem solving skills shut down because your brain is only thinking in terms of how to keep you safe because there's a perceived threat in your environment. That's what happens when your heart starts to pump. It just like it shuts off your brain. So I remember seeing this person walk in and I literally went to the bathroom. I looked at myself. I was like, Sabrina, you're good. Like you got this. Everything is okay. You're good. Trust yourself. So I go back into the class. I'm teaching the class and I'm feeling like, okay, I'm fine. We got this. I'm good. I'm about to end class and there's 3 minutes left. We are in the abs finisher. So there's no going back now. And I realize I completely missed a sequence that should not have been missed whatsoever. I remember just thinking, oh my God, I cannot believe I just slipped up this bad. It felt like, I don't know, I was disappointed in myself. I just also wished that I could not be so thrown off by this person in my class. It really got me thinking, and something that I teach in my Pilates classes, especially if we're doing a tough move that requires a lot of balance, like a single leg deadlift with an overhead press. It's like you're gonna wobble, okay? But I always encourage my community to find the wobble, find the point of failure, fall on the floor if you have to, but get up and try again. It's the resilience, I think, that is the most important part of all of this is like, yes, find the failure. If you're always going to stay in your comfort zone where you're not pushing yourself to failure, you don't get stronger. And when you do fall and then you show yourself, oh, I can get back up and I can try again, you work that muscle again, you get stronger, you build trust within yourself, and that's how you build real confidence. So practice feeling the confidence, practice in this room. Let this be the space where you find the wobble, you find the failure, then get up and try again. And so I was like, okay, I need to take my own advice. And this leads into my second mindset shift, which is to measure your resilience versus your triggers or versus your failures, whatever it is. So, to wrap up the first point, reality is an illusion of your mind. So, whatever you're thinking is going to project into your reality. Your brain is going to seek confirmation bias. And whatever you're telling your brain, it's a yes. So, think about that. If you're telling yourself, I'm ugly, I'm stupid, I'm whatever, your brain is just a yes for what you tell it. It's like a program. So, if you're telling your brain to run the program, I'm ugly, I'm stupid, it's going to run it. Think about that. Think about what you would rather it run and have control over your mind. That is the one thing you have control over, is control over your mind. So what do you want to think? What do you want to, who do you want to be? What do you want to act like? Get intentional. Get intentional with who you want to be. Get intentional with how you want to think, and watch how your reality will start to reflect it back to you. How your brain will seek confirmation bias to confirm the thoughts that you are telling your brain to run, the programs that you are telling it to run. You have way more control over your reality and way more control over yourself than you give yourself credit for. Just think about that and then act accordingly. So, moving on to the second point, which is to measure your resilience versus your triggers. And what I mean is, and I mentioned this before, this doesn't mean that you're never going to get triggered, you're never going to get anxious, you're never going to be dysregulated. That's going to happen. We are human. It is human nature. But it is the amount of time from the trigger to the point where you get out of it, that period of time needs to be getting smaller. Like if you fuck up at work, mess up in a conversation, or if you're not proud of how you acted, are you going to sit in self-pity? Are you going to stay in this state of, oh, woe is me, I'm so disappointed, blah, blah, blah? How long are you going to stay in that? You're allowed to be in it. You're allowed to get upset. Again, it's human. But are you going to stay in this disempowered state? Like if you have a job interview and it doesn't go well, let yourself be upset about it, but can you go on a walk? Can you actually reframe the situation to be like, what was the opportunity here? What was the opportunity here? What did I learn from this? How can I use this experience to better prepare me for the next job interview? What questions did they ask that you couldn't answer or you weren't ready for? Use it as preparation. Use it to make yourself smarter, better, more informed for the next opportunity, because you best believe there's another one on its way. There's always going to be another opportunity. And if you're ever afraid, I remember I used to literally have conversations with the universe about this. If I handled a situation poorly that I was not proud of, I would reflect on it. And then I literally would say out loud, universe, please give me another opportunity to handle this with a greater level of self respect, a greater level of groundedness, of calm. And there will always be another opportunity. And if you don't think that there will be, then ask for one. Ask. And I swear it will come. And when it does, use the previous incident as a learning curve, as a stepping stone to handle the next opportunity with more grace, with more groundedness, with more calm, more regulation, all of it. And that's how you turn experience into wisdom. That's how you actually learn to evolve. You get smarter, you get more confident, and you handle things from a greater level. That's how you can literally accelerate and elevate your state of being and where you are in the world, is by taking these challenges or quote unquote failures, but you take the opportunity, you extract the wisdom from it, you move forward and you apply it. With that Pilates example, I was absolutely mortified. I could not believe that I fucked up that badly. I was spiraling. I was like, oh my God, I truly cannot believe that. I'm so embarrassed, blah, blah, blah. And then I was like, how can I move forward from this? How can I extract the wisdom from this and use this to be better, so that the next time that I'm given the opportunity for this person to come into my class, I'm going to nail it. I'm going to nail it. I think the first thing that actually helped, and this is pretty case sensitive, but maybe it's not, but I told people. I own that shit, because I feel like with mess ups or fuck ups, whatever you want to call it, we get so down on ourselves and we feel so ashamed about it. But the second that you shine light on it. And in this case, shining light on it was sharing my experience, my embarrassment. It takes away the power. And then by the time I told the third person about it, they were like, that's it. That's all that happened. And you realize that so much of the pressure or the embarrassment or whatever it is, it's so in our head that when you shine light on it and you share it, you realize, okay, it's not that big of a deal. Yes, it is a big deal, but if you keep ruminating on it in your head, it seems bigger than it actually is. And like the problem now has all this power over you versus like talking about it, sharing your experience. I also think sharing your experience, and I shared it with some of my fellow instructors when we were doing a workshop. I was like, guys, you're never going to believe what happened. And I share that because, like I mentioned before, I feel very confident in myself as an instructor. Of course, I will always be a work in progress. And I'm so grateful to be surrounded truly by the best of the best. I always want to be learning. I always want to be growing. So the second I have an opportunity to do a workshop or work one-on-one with one of the coaches, I'm taking it and putting my all into it because I constantly want to be better. But I think there's also a confidence that comes from owning your shit, like owning your fuck up, and saying like, yes, you can be the absolute best, thinking of yourself as the absolute best in a humble way. And then also sharing like, yeah, you can be the absolute best and still fuck up. It makes you human. It brings this authenticity to it. It humbles you. And it also, if someone else is going through the same experience, it shows them like it's okay. You can be an expander in that way. You can be an inspiration to other people in that way. And I think that's equally as powerful to show when you're not perfect. But then also it shows your sense of resilience. So in this instance, I was like, okay, I fucked that up. And I taught a morning class where this happened. And I had two classes that evening. I was like, okay, let me get this out. And for the next classes, I'm showing up new. I made a whole new playlist. I did a similar class, but I was like, I'm not letting this hold me back because I remember when I went through my audition process for the first time at Fuse, this was over a year ago, and I just went through the training. So I was definitely not ready to teach at Fuse. But I went through that audition and I was just so unhappy with my performance in the audition. I was like, whatever. And I really let that discourage me. And I think that's where we make the mistake is like having a negative quote unquote experience with something and then letting it discourage you where you're not going to take action again. Or even with creating content, if you're trying to become a content creator and you're putting out all these reels and TikToks and nothing is landing, the sense of discouragement that you feel from that because you're not seeing that forward progress, that is very real, like to feel discouraged when you're not seeing the results or the progress that you want, that is so real. But you can't stay in that. Like, how badly do you want it? And if you want it badly enough, you will stay consistent and you will keep going. Not to say that the discouragement doesn't feel real, but you got to keep going and measure your success based on your resilience. How quickly can you get back on the horse? I was really tested with that, with this whole experience. And to not let it feel like, oh, this experience is defining me as an instructor. You got to know yourself. And even if you have to fake it a little bit, like something that I like to do is I love this journaling practice where you answer these 4 questions. Number 1, who do I want to be today? Number 2, how do I want to feel today? Number 3, what do I want to give today? And number 4, what do I want to receive today? I got that from Gabby Bernstein. It's called The Daily Design. When I was going through this experience, I was like, okay, I don't want to let this define me as an instructor. I'm not going to let it. Everyone has these mess ups. And I really don't want to let this discourage me or take away from my confidence that I've worked so hard to build. So I just affirmed. And again, this goes back to what you think will project into your reality. And I just affirm I'm a kick-ass instructor. I'm a teacher, I'm a leader, I'm a healer. Like whatever it is that you want to affirm, you have to double down on it. And you cannot let external experiences tell you what to think about yourself or how to define yourself. That is fully in your control. And I've had a lot of experiences like this. I remember even in 2020, I was dating this guy. I remember I wanted to start posting on YouTube, and he made me feel so embarrassed about it. He made me feel so like just ashamed to be doing that. The comments that he made to me, which I'm not going to share because it was genuinely so hurtful, but that put me off from posting on YouTube. That discouraged me. That made me feel so embarrassed where I just didn't do it. And I didn't have the confidence and the self-esteem at the time to be like, fuck that. Like, fuck this guy. I didn't have that at the time. So I actually let it stop me from going after what I wanted. But after that, I was like, fuck that. When I want something, I'm going to go for it. And I don't care what anyone has to say. If I want it badly enough, I'm going to go for it. So permission for you guys to go after what you want. If someone's going to try and tell you negative feedback or whatever, like, how bad do you want it? How bad do you want it? Ground into that, double down on your why, and just keep going forward. Okay, so that wraps up the second mindset shift, which is to measure your success based on your resilience rate versus your trigger. Okay, and that ties into the first one, which is reality is a projection of your mind. The last one is you could take the same action, and if you are doing it from a place of anxiety, fear, something low vibrational versus taking the same action from a state of calm and groundedness, the response will 1,000% be different. And this could even be an email. If you were doing outreach to a new brand, if you're a content creator, or if you are reaching out to a new job, if you're doing it from a place of scarcity, scrambling, dysregulation, anxiety, versus sending the same email to the same brand, the same company from a place of calm, groundedness, and abundance, there is a difference. The energy in which you take an action makes a difference. This is why also when you are about to respond to someone, taking a moment to just pause instead of rushing to respond. And I feel like we do live in this age of immediacy where people are expecting a response within 1 minute, or we're always rushing to find a response, whatever. I even practice this with texting. Like, I will take my time. I'm not going to feed into the pressure of this, we need to be immediate and respond right away. Take your fucking time, okay? Permission to take your time. I'm giving you permission. Because when you're also rushing, that signals to your brain you're in a state of stress. When you're in a state of stress, your fight or flight goes on, your prefrontal cortex or the amygdala, whatever part of your brain, it shuts down and you don't think clearly. That's why when you're in a rush, you miss your keys, you misplace something, you can't find it, you're not thinking straight. So when you're taking an action, question where this action is coming from. Or I remember when I was like early 20s dating and I would feel anxious about texting a guy, whatever. Ask yourself, am I texting this person from a state of anxiety, needing something from them, or needing to feel secure by them? Like, where is the text coming from? Or am I texting them because I feel secure and I want to talk to them? If you're texting someone to get something from them or to have them relieve some type of anxiety, wait. Just wait. I promise you, you will never regret waiting to send something. Wait until you are in a solid state, a grounded state, a regulated state. This even happened to me. I remember when I was going through a really stressful period in my life. I was going through a stressful period in my time. No. I was going through a stressful period in my life and I was doing all this outreach to brands, and it was coming from such a frantic state. And like, I swear I could have written the same words, but because I was reaching out from this frantic, anxious, like totally dysregulated state, it is a repelling energy. No one wants to work with that. No one wants to work with that like desperate need for something or needing to take from someone else, versus sending the same exact message, but from a place of abundance where you don't need it, where you're good either way. That is so much more attractive. People want to work with that type of energy. And whether or not you believe this, you can feel it. It might not be even a conscious thing, but our subconscious, it picks up on everything. Energy is 1,000% real. People can pick up on that. And no one wants to work with that frantic needing something from someone versus I'm already good. I'm going to reach out to you if you want to work together. Amazing. If not, I have 10 other brands that I can work with. So it's fine. You know what I mean? And I think the way that you can start to embody that is literally just practice taking your time, not rushing to respond to everyone, not doing it even from a people pleasing place of like, oh no, I need to take care of this or I have to appease this person or make sure I respond to make sure that they're okay. It's like, no, you can wait. They can wait. It's okay. And the energy is completely different. So try to practice it with lower stakes, like a text, and then you can move on to an email or then a different aligned action. But really ask yourself and check in with yourself, where is this coming from? And again, that is where self esteem comes from, being proud of the choices that you make, being in control of your thoughts and your mind. This is something you have control over. Taking an intentional pause before you respond to something, it gives you your power back. It helps you feel more grounded. It helps you feel more in control of yourself. That is an attractive energy. That is magnetic. And from that place, things come to you, or you take aligned action and it propels you forward. It's not coming from a needy taking place. And that's attractive. That's magnetic. So, to summarize, mindset shift number 1, reality is an illusion of your mind. What you are thinking will project into your reality. Number 2, measure your success by your rate of resilience versus your triggers. And number 3, think about the state you're in before you take an action. Pause before you take an action. Where is it coming from? Because the energy in which you take these actions could be the same thing, the same step, the same email, the same message. But if the energy is not right, it is felt. It's okay to take a pause. It's okay to even take a 24-hour pause, a 48-hour pause till you get back into a right mindset. And just watch how your life begins to shift. I've literally lived this. I know it works. I'm living proof that it works. And if you don't believe me, try it for yourself. So with that, thank you guys so much for listening to this week's episode. I really hope you liked it. And if you did, please leave a review wherever you listen to your podcasts. Leave a comment, a question, anything. I love engaging with you guys. And I will see you on the next episode. Love you. Bye.